Hello and welcome, Dennis, to our show. And I'm very excited to hear all about your amazing experience today.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm really excited too to tell my experiences of what happened to me. Yeah. Well, there's like two experiences. One was with my mother that passed away, and the other one was me passing away. It was when I was 29, and she got sick. Me and my mother. I'm going to explain a little bit before. Um, Before I was just a normal musician, okay, a singer, a saxophone player, and I lived at my parents' house in Philadelphia, in America. And my father was a Marine in the military, and also he was a cop. And me and my father, we weren't so close as I would have liked to be, because he was very strict and dutiful, I call it, because he just, it was my birthday. He would give, "What do you want for your birthday?" And he just gave me a gift. "What do you want for your Christmas?" Or gave me a gift, and that was it. It was not what do you feel, or how are you doing. It was not very about
Perfect.
feelings. Now, my mother was the opposite. My mother, she was the joy in my life. She would wake me up early in the morning and say, "Come look at the birds, listen to the birds. Look how beautiful they sound." She was the joy and the light in my life. And my mother, she had a job before she married my father, but then she quit it to get married to my father. And she saved her money for 3 years to buy me my first saxophone. And me and my mother were so close. um, and till one day she got sick, very sick, and then she died. And when that happened, it was like somebody turned out the lights in my life, totally. And I I was living in Montreal, Canada at that time when she passed away. And I would go to drink every night at a bar close to my apartment. And then I would come home, come in my room, turn out the lights, sit on the side of my bed, and cry myself to sleep. That happened for about a week and a half after she died. Until one day I was doing the same routine. I would go to the bar, have my drinks, and I was coming back home. And I came in my room and I turned on the light, and then I turned off the light when I got in the room, and then I sat on the side of my bed, and I went to untie my sneakers at the time. And when I went to untie my sneakers, I noticed that there was light on the ground, and I said, "That can't be. I just turned out the light. That's impossible." And then when I looked up, this is the crazy part. When I looked up, it was like the sun you see in the sky was in my room. And my mouth went open like that. And it was like, it's hard to describe. It's like when you're in the ocean and you have a high wave come and it covers your whole body. Well, it was like the water was love. It was like a wave of love just covered my whole body. And as I stood in front of this sun that was in my room, it also was doing something. And I didn't say this on a lot of interviews, but I'm going to say it on yours. It was actually sucking up the alcohol out of my body. I could feel it sucking the alcohol out of my body. And as all of this was going on, and all this love, then I saw out of this sun came these two stars. It was one small star and one big star, and they kind of floated out to me slowly. And as they came closer to me, I recognized that the small star was my mother. And I said, "Wow, Mom." I said, "It's like that over there." Because it was so much love. It's like you win the lottery for $1 billion, and you're in Hawaii on the beach and surrounded by only people that love you, times 100. And so they floated out to me, and she started to talk to me like I'm talking to you now, with the exception that I felt like her conversation was being like shot into my body, shot into me. And when I say shot into me, it was like I could feel the conversation in my body as she was talking. And that was quite different. I could feel the conversation in my body. And the first thing she said was that I'm going to tell you a week in the future so that you're going to know that this is not a dream and this is not fake, this is real. And she said, next week you're going to get a job. Now, my band, I was in a band at that time, and we hadn't worked in about 3 weeks. So it was kind of a long, dry spell for work, you know. And she said, you're going to get a job next week. And she said that there's going to be a doorman at this job. And this doorman is going to be a psychopath and a homosexual. And she said, whatever you do, don't get into an argument with this person. And then at this point in the conversation, she started talking like Star Trek. I don't know if you ever heard of Star Trek. She said there's going to be 2 timelines that possibly could happen. She said one would be that he kills you. You get into a fight and he kills you. And the other one would be that you get into a fight with him and you kill him, but you go to jail for the rest of your life. And she said one of these 2 timelines would happen if you get into an argument with him. Now, I was so happy to see my mom. I said, Mom, I'd do anything you say. I do anything you say. I'm just so happy to see you. So happy to see you. And but my mother knew me, and I want to say this very clearly. I don't have anything against lesbians or homosexual people. But if you know that I'm straight and you come after me, my mother knew that I would defend myself for sure. She knew that. Now, I was not a type of guy that was looking for trouble, no. But if trouble came my way, I could handle it. That's who I was. And so she told me, don't get into an argument with that person. I said, no, Mom, I do exactly what you say. I do exactly what you say. And then she said, I was seeing a girl at this time for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. I was seeing this girl. And she said, the girl that you're seeing, she has 3 kids, and she's hiding them. And she said that she's going to try to have a 4th kid with you. So be careful about that. And I said, okay, Mom, I will. And for me, that was kind of shocking news because I know this girl for almost 2 years and there was no sign of any kid. So then she took a pause, and then I said, okay, Mom, I'll do that. And then I said, Mom, who is this other light standing next to you? Because this was another light next to her that was like 7 feet tall. And then when I asked her about this other light spoke to me, and it said, I'm an escort. It said, I'm escorting your mother to the earth plane. And the exact words, it said, this is an interruption in your life. And when it said that, I said, an interruption. Okay. I mean, you have my room is lit up like Star Wars here. I said, I want to know, why am I here? You know, how many kids I'm going to have, who I'm going to marry, you know, why am I in this life? And I called this light an angel, and it said to me, well, I'm going to tell you everything that you ask, but you won't be allowed to remember it. Only what your mother says. So it told me the answers to all my questions, but I couldn't remember anything after, but only what my mother told me. So then my mother said, I love you and I'm going to always be around you, but you won't be aware of me as much as you are tonight. You won't be aware of me, but I'll always be around you. And Then they floated back to the sun. And as they floated back to the sun, the sun started to get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer till they disappeared. And my room slowly went dark. And as soon as my room turned black, that's when tears burst out my eyes. And I said, nobody's ever going to believe this happened. Nobody ever going to believe this happened. Nobody's going to believe this happened. It's too incredible. Nobody's ever going to believe this happened. But I have the proof. The next day, I got a call. My band called me and they said, hey, we got a job. And I said, oh, you have a job? Wow. And I didn't want to tell them what happened the night before. I said, because I didn't want them to think, oh, his mother passed away. You know, he's a great singer, great saxophone player, but he lost it when his mother passed away. So I said, I'm not going to tell them this happened. So I said, okay, we got a job. That's great. And then I hung up the phone. And the next day we went to what we call a sound check. And a sound check, for people who don't know, that's just when we check the equipment a few hours before the show to make sure everything works. So I came to this club, and there was 2 bouncers at the door, but they didn't say nothing to me, and I didn't say nothing to them. And I went in the club. We did the sound check. Everything went well, and I left the club, came back home, got dressed, and then went back to the club to do the show. Now, when I came in to do the show, there was only 1 bouncer at the door, and he didn't say nothing to me. I didn't say nothing to him, and I came in. We did our first show. Great. People loved it, and we were on our break. And I was talking to the band. Let's say this is the band and this is me. I was talking to the band on our break, and then this bouncer that was at the door walked behind me and grabbed my butt while I was talking. I was talking, and I said, hey, what's that? I said, guys, did you see this? This guy just grabbed my butt, man. I got to tell this guy something. He grabbed my butt, and then he went into the corner and just watched me like that. And so I was going over there. I was angry, and then I was really angry because I was like, hey, man, you can't be grabbing me like that. And then before I got to him, I remember what Mom said. I said, remember what Mom said? Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't lose it, man. Don't lose it. Calm down. Just tell him you're not like that. Calm down. So I went over there slowly, and I said, man, I'm not like that. Please don't touch me again. And he said, man, I didn't touch you. You had too many beers. I said, yeah, you touched me. You grabbed me. And I said, I'm not like that. I'm telling you, please don't touch me again. And then he said, why did you tell your friends? And I said, I told my friends because you touched me. And I'm telling you, I'm not like that. So please don't touch me again. And then I walked away, because the longer I stayed there, the more the conversation was going to the place where my mother had warned me about. So I walked away before it could get there. And we went on stage. We did our second show. Now, normally after the second show, I would stay around and talk with the fans and talk with the people about how the show went. But this time I didn't feel comfortable there. So I left. I passed this bouncer at the door. He didn't say nothing to me, and I left, and I went home, and everything was okay. And then the next day, I got a phone call from the band, and they said, hey, man, did you hear what happened? I said, no. I mean, I left the club, and everything was okay when I left. He said, remember that guy, that bouncer you was telling us about? I said, yeah. He said he got into an argument with the club owner and crushed both of his rib cages, killed him, and now he's in jail for manslaughter. To this day, by the way. And my mouth went open. I said, oh my God. Because this guy, the club owner, was really a nice person, nicest guy you wanted to meet. But it seems they had gotten to an argument. So, yeah. So I said, okay, thanks for letting me know, man. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And I hung up the phone, and then I said, oh my God, everything my mother said to me is coming true. And I said, if that's true, my girlfriend. Oh oh no, I gotta call her. No, this can't be. I gotta call her. So I picked up the phone and called my girlfriend. She said, hello, hello. I said, hey, tell me something. Do you have 3 kids? And the phone went silent. And then she said, who told you? And I said, wait a minute, this can't be true. This can't be real. I know you for almost 2 years. There was no kids. Let me ask you again. Let me ask you the question again. Do you have 3 kids? And she said, yes, I have 3 kids, but who told you? And I said, okay, I'm going to tell you who told me. My dead mother told me. And I said, I would have been okay with your kids if you had told me, but because you hid them, I don't know what else you could be hiding, so we're finished. And so I finished with her and we hung up the phone. And that was my first experience. And in that experience, it stopped me from drinking. I stopped drinking because I was not in depression anymore, because I knew that she was fine. She was actually better than fine. So, and she was alive. That was the other thing. She was alive. She never died. So I was okay. And so after that, because of my experience, I never told anybody about the experience because it was just so incredible. And I said I didn't want people to think I was crazy like that because of my mother passing away. So I said, they're not going to believe me anyway, so I'm going to just keep this story to myself for now. I will not tell people what happened. And so I tried to go on with normal life. And what happened was I started to follow this particular singer, because this particular singer was like a mentor to me, and he was very successful. He was in a group that was remade, because it was remade from an older group. Like, it was called the Platters, but it wasn't the original Platters, because that's too old for me, actually. And it was they remade this group, and this guy was the lead singer in this re-put together group, and he was very successful. He actually had record deals in Germany and France and Montreal, Canada, and America. Very successful. And so I started to sing background vocals for him. And I was learning about vocals and stuff more, because I was already a singer, but I was learning a lot more with him. Until one day we were doing a show on a weekend, and he just out of nowhere offered me drugs. And so I started to do drugs with him, which I'm not so proud of, by the way. I just want to say that. But I thought that at that moment, this must be the way to go. You know, he has money, he has success. He's doing great shows, and everything is really wonderful. This is what I would like to be like. I wanted to be. So we kept doing the shows, doing the drugs, doing the shows, until one weekend he just dropped dead. Poof. And when he dropped dead, that was like a wake-up call for me. And I said, if I continue to do drugs, I'm going to drop dead just like him. And I said, I'm going to stop. So I stopped cold turkey. I didn't even go to no clinic or nothing like that. I just stopped cold turkey. And I replaced it with marijuana. So I said, smoke a joint once a month. That's okay. That's not bad. And so that's what I did. And so this one day with my new girlfriend, we ran out of marijuana. So I have to say this for sure. 90% of all musicians know where to get marijuana, no matter what country they're in, no matter what city they're in. They know how to get marijuana, guaranteed. So I just picked up the phone and I called one of my musician friends and I said, hey man, I ran out of marijuana. Do you have any? Sure. He says, I'll bake it in a cake and I'll bring it over to your place. Because I was still in Montreal, Canada. So I said, great. I never had it in a cake before, so that's going to be cool. So I hung up the phone, and about, I guess, a couple hours later, he came up with this cake. It was a chocolate cake, by the way, which I remember. And he dropped off the cake, and then he left me and my girlfriend with the cake. So I cut her a piece, and then I cut myself a piece, and we both ate a piece of the cake. And we waited about 10 minutes, and then nothing happened. And I said, "You feel anything?" She said, "No, I don't feel anything." I said, "Me neither." I said, "I think we probably have to eat more cake, because maybe he put just a little bit in, and we need to eat more to actually feel something." So I cut half this time. She took the one half of the cake, and I took the other half of the cake. And we ate it, and then 10 minutes went by again. I said, "Do you feel anything?" She said, "No, I don't feel anything." I said, "Me neither." I said, "It must be a bad batch. It must be not a good quality." And then we waited another 10 minutes, and then we began to feel something. But it wasn't like we were getting high. It was more like our bodies were shutting down. I would be talking with her, and then I would forget to breathe. Stuff like that. And then it was becoming hard for me to move, And so she said to me, "You better call 911 while we still can." And I said, "Yeah, I think you're right." And I went to try to grab the phone, and I dialed 911. And then this was the embarrassing part, because she said, "How can I help you?" And I had to tell her, "Well, I think we took too much marijuana and a cake or something, and I feel like we're dying. Can you come save us, please?" So they said, "We'll be right over." And when I hung up the phone, what I didn't realize is that when you call 911, if it's about any kind of narcotic, they call the police first. So the police came first. And by the way, this was around 3 a.m. The police came first, and they wanted to come in to try to see if they can charge us with something. But there was nothing to charge us with, because we had eaten all the cake. So there was no evidence. So they left. And then the ambulance came. We were on the 3rd floor, and we had this circular stairwell that you had to come down to get out. And as you would come down, you had these big windows right in front of the staircase. So as you would come down past the 2nd floor, our neighbors were looking at us. and the lights from the ambulance was flashing. It was like a really crazy scene. Something like some heavy rocker, David Bowie or Mick Jagger overdose, and that's how it looked. It just looked crazy. So they're carrying us each down in separate stretchers, and they put us in the ambulance, and we were being rushed to the hospital. And I was glad that they arrived, because by the time they arrived, it was hard for me to breathe. I couldn't barely move, and my heart was really pushing hard to pump, to live. And so when they got there, I was very relieved that they were here. So we're in the ambulance, and we're going towards the hospital. And as we get to the hospital, they roll me out first, and he's rolling me past the reception. And as I go past the reception, I see my dead mother again. This time she had on this outfit. Now, she had this women's club when she was alive, where they wear these kind of like costumes, like these special shirts. And it was like 12 women in this club, and they would go play bingo, and they would go on trips together. 12 women, and she had that shirt on. And I said, "Oh, wow, there's Mom. That's strange." And she was looking through the reception, looking for me. Now, what I realized later was that when they had passed me past the reception, I was so close to death. That's why I could see her clearly as I see you right now. And so they reeled me right past her, and put me in a hospital room, and they took my girlfriend to another hospital room, and they gave me this dark drink to drink. I thought it was tar, but later I found out it was charcoal. So I'm sitting on my hospital bed, and I'm thinking to myself, I have this drink in my hand. I said, oh my God, I think I'm going to live. I think I'm going to live. So I drink this drink down fast. It tastes horrible. It just tastes horrible. Sorry. It is not a milkshake. It just tastes horrible. So I'm drinking it down really fast and thinking, oh, I think I'm going to live. I think I'm going to live. And I finish it and I lay back, relax on the side of my bed. And I'm relaxing. I said, I think you're going to live. I think you're going to make it. And then all of a sudden, I start to hear my heart in my left ear. I start to hear it beat. And it was beating like this. Boom, 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 boom. And when it did the last beat, that's when I popped out of my body like that. I didn't try to jump out. I just popped out like that. And when I popped out, first thing I said then was, I'm out. And I'm looking at my hand. I see my body in the bed and I'm standing next to my body. And I'm looking at my hand and it has this like light gray, light blue tint around it, all around it. And I'm looking at my hand and I'm looking at the bed and I thought to myself, man, I think you must be dead. I said, this doesn't look good. I said, your body is there and but I didn't feel like fear. That's the first thing. I did not feel any fear at all. Actually, it was quite peaceful and calm and loving, but it was just kind of more shocking, but not shocking in a fearful way, just shocking, like, oh, like that. And so I'm out and I'm looking at my hand. Then all of a sudden I hear this drop of water dripping from I had a little sink in my hospital room and it was just dripping, drip, 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 this drop of water. Now, for some odd reason, my curiosity as a person was like at 1,000. It was like, I was so curious as a soul. I don't know why, maybe all souls are like that, but I was like super curious. And when I heard this drop of water and I thought about it, my vision went to the drop of water automatically like that. Boom, I was right in front of the drop of water. And then it went back to where I was standing next to my bed. And I said, wow, my soul said, a drop of water. Wow. And then I said, I'm going to stop time because I need to see this drop of water like stop moving so I can really look at it. And as if I give you a bike, if you don't ride a bike in 20 years and I give you a bike, you're going to be able to still ride it, even if you didn't ride in 20 years. Okay? Well, it was like that. It was like I was remembering. And I just waved my hand across the air, just like now, like I did now. And the drop of water froze in midair, just like that. And I had stopped time. And to a soul, that was not an amazing thing. But to me over here, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. But to a soul that was like, well, yeah. So then I said, and then I could see the water frozen in midair. And then I said, but I'd like to see that water from every angle. And then I just opened my hand just like that. And 5 of me appeared at the sink. One was on the right, one was on the left, one was underneath the water, one was watching them, and another one was watching them, and I was watching all of them. And my mouth was open because it's 5 of me. And then when I would close my hand, they all would suck up back to one, to me. And they made this kind of little sound like sound when they would suck back up to me. And then I opened it up again, and then they would all appear at the same place. And I kept doing it. And I kept doing faster and faster and faster like that. And then this time I said, after about 4 or 5 times, I said, I wonder if I do a little shake with my hand, will all 5 of me shake? And I opened my hand and I did a little shake like that. And they all appeared and they did a little shake like that. And I cracked up. I just cracked up. I couldn't stop laughing. And it sounded like I was laughing in the Grand Canyon on the other side. It just said, Ha 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 ha. And after the laugh, that's when I started to feel somebody was watching me. And I felt somebody was watching me, and I heard this voice, and it spoke to me as if as if it was a parent talking to a child at a playground. And it said, if you run too fast, if you run too, like a parent would say, if you run too fast around the corner, you might fall. Be careful. Well, this voice said to me, it said, if you don't go back now, you might have to stay. And it was said in a loving way. It wasn't a command, but it was true, because at that point my heart had stopped for maybe about a half an hour. So I said, oh yeah, my heart, that's right. It can't stay stopped forever. Oh yeah, that's right. And I didn't even question who the voice was, because I knew that it was God. And so I just pointed myself in the direction of the body that was in the bed. And here's another thing. I never wanted to look at my face. I looked at the body, but I never looked at my face, because I was afraid that I was going to have this look of death or something in my face, like, twisted or something. So I didn't look at my face at all. I just saw the body, I saw my legs, and I said, okay, I'm gone. So let's get back in the body. And here's another thing before I tell you the rest, and that is, while I was out of my body, it's like if you put a dry sponge in a glass of water, and it soaks up all the water. Well, while I was out of my body, it was like knowledge I was soaking up knowledge, more and more knowledge about all kinds of topics that I totally believed the opposite of, about the earth, about souls, about why we come here, about Jesus, about the Bible, about heaven, about hell, about so many things, the earth, about what is this life. All of those answers were coming towards me, into me, and about how God sees every soul when it comes to the other side. All of that came to me. And so I was absorbing like all this knowledge. The longer I stayed out of my body, the more knowledge I was getting, like this. It was going expanding. So then when I went to dive, it's kind of like you dive into a swimming pool. I went to dive into my body. I just pointed my soul at the body, and I said, okay, I'm going to go in. And then I dived in, and I got in, and all of a sudden my heart did a double beat. Boom. And it started to beat again, and I was back. But this time I was able to keep all the information. And also something else had happened, that when I came back, I had some gifts or things that I didn't have when I had died. And I discovered those gifts by mistake. I didn't know like I had gifts. I thought, no, I'm just normal. I have this information, but that's about it. I thought, oh, there's some different information that I have to take time to digest, because it was totally opposite of what I believed. And these gifts. And so I went on to try to do normal life again. I didn't tell anybody what had happened to me about this. And I went to play a club with my band, went back to playing with my band in Montreal, Canada. And we went to a place called Mont-Roland in Canada. And we were playing a gig that was in the daytime in a club, but there was a snowstorm. So the snowstorm happened, and then there was hardly no people in the club. Nobody wanted to go out. So we were in the club, and nobody was there except two waitresses. So I'm sitting at the table with my band member friends, and we're having a beer. And I said, I called one of the waitresses over. Come on over. I'm going to tell you your future for fun. Now, this was supposed to be a joke, because we were bored, So I said, give me your left hand. I'm going to tell you your future. So she gave me her left hand, and I said, your boyfriend is paraplegic. I said, he blames you for his handicap, even though it's not your fault. I said, 3 months from now, you're going to meet a guy and you're going to fall in love. In another 3 months, you're going to marry this guy and you're going to live happily ever after. And then I threw her hand away and I went to finish my beer. But one thing I noticed that she never said one word as I was saying that, not anything. Yeah. So I just finished my beer and, I didn't pay it no mind. And then, we left. We finished that day early because there was no people in the snowstorm. And then we played that same club a year later. And a year later, she still was working there. And she ran up to me and she said, did you know that everything you said came true? I said, nah, come on, you're joking with me, right? She said, no. I said, your boyfriend was paraplegic. She said, yes. I said, he blamed you for his handicap even though it wasn't your fault? She said, yes. I said, you met a guy 3 months after and you fell in love? She said, yes. And I said, 3 months after you got married? Then she didn't even answer me. She showed me the wedding ring. And when she did that, the hairs on my arm went up, all the way up here. And my band members they said, man, what's happening to you? You're turning into Nostradamus or something? And at that point, I said, I don't know what I'm turning into. And I said to myself, I don't know what's happening to me. Something's happening to me. And that's the first incident. Then the second time, it happened again, where there was another door guy, but this time this door guy was a straight guy and he was cool. He was actually a fan of the band, and we were all good friends. But he was a doorman, huge guy, twice the size of me, and I'm pretty tall, 6'2", and he was twice the size, or 3 times maybe. But anyway, he was friends with us, and this one particular week, I had a premonition like a premonition, I guess you could call it, that he should not go out this weekend at all. He should, from Friday to Sunday, he should stay in his apartment and don't leave. And I had it on Thursday, and it followed me around like a dark cloud. Wherever I go, it was there, telling me, tell this guy, don't go out. So I said, but that's going to be crazy. He's a bouncer, and nobody in their right mind is going to mess with him. Just look at the guy. You'll think 5 times before you mess with this guy. No way. He's going to think I'm nuts. So Friday came. Now he worked at a club, what we called after hours, which means that after all the normal clubs close, they would be open like from 3 until 9:30, 10 the next day, and you still could get alcohol and stuff like that. So he worked in one of those places. So after our show, the band, we would be too hyper and too much energy to just go home and try to go to sleep. So we would go to the after hours and have a drink, and a lot of the public and the audience that were at our show would come to the after hours too, so they could talk with us and tell us about the show that they enjoyed or whatever. And so I saw him at the after hours. He was at the door like normal, and I started to tell him, and I said, no, don't tell him that. He's going to think you're a nut job. He's going to think you're crazy, man. So look at the guy. Nobody's going to mess with him. So I didn't tell him on that Friday. And the Saturday came, and we did a show, and we didn't go to the club, the after hours, on the Saturday. And then we did our show on Sunday. And then we went to the after hours. And when we went to the after hours, he was not there. There was another bouncer there. And this bouncer was standing at the door with tears running down his face. And I said, hey, man, what's wrong? He said, you didn't hear? I said, no. He said, so-and-so is dead. I said, dead? What do you mean dead? What happened? And he said, well, on Saturday, after his shift, he met this girl and he took her to a hotel, and she waited till he fell asleep, and she took out a butcher knife and slashed his throat. And by the time he realized, because he was sleeping when she started to do that, by the time he realized that what she was doing, he had lost too much blood and he lost consciousness. And they caught her, and of course she went to jail, but I had to go to his funeral. And from that point on, I said, if I get another premonition about the President of the United States, I'm going to tell him. I said, I'm never going to withhold information ever again. And I felt guilty because I was at his funeral, and I felt like maybe I could have prevented it. And later on, I went inside myself, my soul, and answer I got was that he wouldn't have believed you. And also, there are things, this is from my downloads again, that we have what we call exit points. And it was time for him to exit. And that was it. And after that, I realized that you have some kind of gifts, man. You have to help people. So I started to do once a month. I started very slow, once a month, one person who had a problem, whatever it may be. And I would either look at their energy or read their energy, and I would tell them what I see and what would be good for them. And then it grew into many people, and then I started to discover I could do a lot of other things like healings. I discovered that. I discovered that I could tell about other people through other people. That means like somebody could tell me, let's say a girl has a boyfriend and she's not sure that he's cheating or something like that. I could read the boyfriend's energy through her because she's connected with him. And what I found out is that anybody that you love and anybody that you hate, you're very, very, very connected to energy-wise. So it was very easy for me to tell them yes or no, and also I could tell the personalities of children that they may have. If they had kids, I could tell, oh, Bobby's like this, but so-and-so is more shy. This one is a little bit more aggressive because he needs more attention, stuff like that. And so that's when I started to help people. I opened up a website and I started to do readings for people, and I started to do healings for people who were cancer or couldn't walk anymore, or for all kinds of problems they may have physically. And so that's what I've been doing since that. And also I'm doing a retreat, a spiritual retreat, and that's from the 18th of October to the 27th of October. And that will be in Egypt to the 27th of October, yes.
Amazing.
And what we do in that retreat, there'll be yoga, there'll be meditation, there'll be holotropic breathing, there'll be energy readings from me one-on-one, and also group readings where the whole group of the people on the retreat can ask the question, and we'll go in rotation and I answer their question. And also there'll be the ancient sites, Valley of the Kings, Nefertiti, and all kinds of amazing energy places. There'll be 6 nights in a beautiful hotel, and also 3 days and nights on a Diabea Egyptian ship, where everybody will have their own room, their own window to look over the Nile. Will be on the Nile River. And imagine doing yoga and greeting the sun on a boat on the Nile River.
That is amazing. Yeah,
yes.
You have it all laid out. Yeah.
Yes, and also we have on the website now, if you go to my website, there's 3 videos of people who went. It's an international community, and it's no more than 10 to 12 people. Okay, it's I don't do big groups because you can't really enjoy it if it's too many people. And the food that'll be served is vegetarian and also meat eaters for meat eaters. There'll be music also because I sing and I perform saxophone.
Amazing.
So you can go on my website and check out the videos of the people who already went last year. We did a retreat last year, and they're from all around the world: Australia, Brussels, America. And our yoga instructor and meditation instructor and holotropic breathing instructor is from Germany.
Oh.
By the way.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, sehr good.
Yeah.
And so it's a really an amazing experience, and you can listen to the videos on my website of the people saying in their own words what they experienced. So I offer that to everyone. We're doing a June special, so if you act now, you'll get a cheaper price than if you act in August or September. Yes, also I do a Q&A once a month when you become a member of the website, a silver member or a gold member. It's not very expensive at all. I think it's like $30 a month or something like that. And you become a member, and in those Q&A meetings for 1 hour, you're allowed to ask questions. But you also are asking questions and with a lot of other people around, so they hear your answer. One session is only you and me. I offer one-on-one also on the webpage. You can have a 30-minute session, or you can have a 1 hour session with me. I offer healing sessions also. And when I have an energy reading, I mean, what happens is I go into your soul and ask the same question that you asked me. And I hear the answer, and I just bring the answer back to you. Yes, well, the thing is, it's about when I have a client, first thing I tell them is to relax. If you don't relax, you can block me from entering your energy to even reach you. I was working with the police when I first started.
Oh, wow.
And but I stopped after my third customer because it was the last one was a university student who was doing great in university, and then all of a sudden the university said she jumped out of a 7-story window. And the parents didn't believe it, but they didn't tell me anything about the case. They just said, we're hiring you. I want you to tell me what you see about my daughter. And the first thing I said before I even really started, I said, usually, I want to tell you, I usually don't do murder cases. And see, that was already interesting to them because they didn't tell me that she was passed. But I told them, I said, I usually don't like to do murder cases. And then the father was more interested. And then he said, well, what do you see? Because they found my daughter thrown out of a 7-story window at a university. And she was a straight A student. She was very happy. She was not suicidal at all. And do you think that she's suicide? I said, no. And then I said, let me look into your energy and I can tell you more about her. And I started looking at his energy, and then I saw that the word authority kept coming to me. Authority is responsible authority. And I said, whoever killed her was some type of authority. And I said, do you know who, does she have a boss? Where did she work? Or does she have a boyfriend? And he said, yeah, her boyfriend is a cop. Authorities, you see? And then I said, right when he said that, I said, that's it. I'm sorry to say, but what I'm getting is that he is the one that killed her. And he is older than her. And she was actually going to leave him because she didn't like the way he was with her, because he was more like this, he's smarter than her, or he was trying to control her too much.
Yeah.
And what he did was he got another girl from the university to put something in her drink so she wouldn't be She
Fighting.
would be high and she would be like that.
Mm.
And then he pushed her over the balcony.
Wow.
And I said to them, I said, she's all right. But because I was looking into what happened to her, I experienced the point where she was pushed, and the fright that she had, and it was not a nice thing. So
Mm.
that's why I said no more. I'm
Mm.
not doing any more working with the police. And so and I said, because he was a cop, I said, you won't find out about him so fast, but there is another witness, because this girl who he's involved with kind of helped set it up in a way. I mean, she made sure that she was going to be around at a certain place and stuff like that. So she knows what happened, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to get. Maybe she's going to come forth, but she's afraid because this guy's a cop. So that's and that was it. But after that, and every now and then I have clients that want to talk with dead people and see how they are and stuff like that. And sometimes the dead people come through, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes I try to tell the clients, on the other side, they're busy because they can do so many things. They have unlimited power of creation. I mean, they can create New York City in the middle of the Milky Way if they just think about it. That's how much power
Exactly.
they have.
Yeah.
I said, and there's ancestors, and they can go back in time. They
Mm.
can go on different timelines. It's just a
Yeah.
carnival over there. I said, if they do come through, that's great. But if they don't, just imagine trying to call somebody in Las Vegas. They're
Mm.
too busy. It's just too many things. So yeah, but I don't do it very often, but sometimes people ask me to try to contact, and I say the name, because I always say that if you say a dead person's name, they do hear you, and they have a choice to appear in front of you or not. And sometimes they appear at such a high vibration that you don't see them, but they're there. And other times they lower their vibration so that you can see them. Yeah, I mean, first thing, dying, what shocked me, one of the things I realized, that I took this life too serious. And the
Yeah.
other thing was how easy it was to die. It was so easy that wasn't even sure. I had to look at my hand to make sure that I'm dead,
Yeah.
because I still feel like me. I still like to laugh, and I did on the other side. I was laughing on the other side. So I still had my personality, and it was just so easy to die, because I was so conditioned, programming to think, oh, you die, you got to suffer, and then you give up.
Yeah.
But it's not true at all. I mean, in my downloads, what I got was that there is no such thing as even a horrible death, because the soul leaves the body before the actual death. It's like you're looking at a video game when you're on the other side looking at your life. Even
Mm.
sometimes you don't even recognize, hey, that's you. Oh, that's me. Oh yeah,
Mm.
because it's like you're watching a movie. Yeah,
And not too
but
long ago, I had a dream of my grandmother. She said the biggest lie on this earth, what it's been told, is that we die. I'm like, wow, that's so true, because we don't die, we transition. And it's like we never, like it's like a butterfly, or it's hard to, like, we call it dead, but there's no, it's not like we sleep and there's nothing. Like there is so much more, like
oh,
calling it dying
there's
is,
a lot more.
yeah, yeah.
And that's that I got all this information, like downloads about that. I mean, and uh, my mother showed me a lot of things. We have free will on the other side. My mother, and also what I found out was also that God is only love. There is no like a revenge and all of this stuff. This is all man-made.
Yeah.
Okay, there is no right or wrong on the other side, just perception.
Hmm.
And about religion and about heaven and hell. There's people who experience hell more than likely. It's only because God didn't create hell, by the way. People create hell because you are a part of God, and you also are a God with a big G. You can have multiple lifetimes at the same time, okay? The life you're having now is like a small piece of your fingernail, the sole of your fingernail. That
Mm,
small. That's how powerful you are. And if people are afraid and what they believe in on this life, they kind of create on the other side temporarily. And what happens is that if they're afraid of hell, even if they're atheists, but they're secretly afraid that hell may exist, when they die, they may experience that hell that they were afraid of because they believed in it. And because they're a God and they're creators, if they believe in it, it will create. You will create. Rather, you're creating on this side of the veil or even on the other side. So when religious people die and they're afraid of hell, and then they go to hell, two things happen. Either they stay there and they realize it's me who created this place and they leave, or they cry out to God and say, God, please take me out of this place. And God says, okay, I'm going to take you out of your own creation. And God takes them out and they come back to life and they think, oh, I have to be a better Christian. But they didn't understand their experience.
yeah.
Because the first thing in the Bible, if you go to hell, you're there forever, right? You're never supposed to get out, right? So why are hundreds getting out? Because God never created hell. It's because you created the hell with your own fear and your belief. Because you're such a powerful God, what you believe, you're going to create. Because God itself is a creator. And we are children of that creator. Okay? This is what I got in my downloads. And this life we're leading now is actually a game created by other souls that we could come to experience what we're not, and just to experience.
Yeah,
And
isn't
people
that?
think, oh, it's good. Earth is a school and it's for evolution, but that's not what I got in my downloads. What I got is that it's only for experience and to experience what you're not. Because if you have billions and billions of years of only unconditional love and superpowers, let's say, you might, after billions of years, might say, I wonder what it'd be like if I didn't have all of this. And then you
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, the Earth game. That's right, I could play. It's temporary too. And so
Yeah,
you come in here with amnesia. So you don't even know you're a God. You don't know who you are when you come here. And
yeah,
you discover along the way. And the most powerful thing on this game is love.
yeah.
Okay? And love will never die and never can be killed. That's why my mother and I, we loved each other so much, not even death could stop us from communicating.
I wish many people would be more loving, and don't take it things so serious and
Yes, that's what I learned when I first died, was that I said, oh man, I took this life too serious. It's
yeah,
actually a game.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, it's like being mad at somebody who plays Monopoly the bad way. So,
yeah,
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 yeah. So, but it's a pleasure to meet you because you really surprised me
yeah,
because I didn't know how deep spiritually you were. And when you tell me those stories that are so similar with me, I was like, wow, I haven't met too many people like that. That's why.
yeah. I also
Yeah.
had to help a ghost one time in need, which I from our relatives, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
he couldn't move on into the light, and I didn't know about it. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm telling you, but he had the fear of going because he mistreated his wife on Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
he hit her, and I didn't know about that, but he showed me
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everything, and I mean, it's unbelievable. There is, we are all connected, if we are open enough and willing. We are all curious, but sometimes curiosity kills. So be careful sometimes, but you know,
Well,
I
the
mean,
thing is, yeah, it's like when people are afraid of the light, it's what they believe.
yeah,
Again, because the light is never going to harm you at all. I mean, the
mm,
worst case scenario is that you have a life review and you have to experience what you did with the others.
yeah,
But that's not even that. In spiritual time, it's very fast. In earth time, yeah, it goes by even faster.
yeah,
So it's not there to torture you or judge you. Even God is watching and the angels are watching and all that, but they're not there to judge you either. The only person that'll judge you is you.
Yeah.
You might say, oh, I could have did that better, or I could have played the game a little better, or was not so nice. And you might even come back to have another life to correct what you did in the other last time you were here.
Exactly.
You know, but what I got in my downloads, first thing, God is only love. We're all connected. Everything affects everything, whether we see it or know it or not.
Hmm.
And what I got about this time, the Earth is a soul, by the way, and it agreed to play this game for other souls to experience for billions and billions of years, but the time is up now. So
Wow.
we're in transition. And what I got was that we are transitioning from 3D to 5D.
Wow.
And 5D is going to be a place where we will have 20% of our soul's power in the physical consciousness, which
Hmm.
means that we'll be able to, we won't need iPhones anymore because we'll have telepathy automatically, everyone will, who enters that 5D
Hmm.
frequency. And but we have a choice, and the choice is not you're right or I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. It's just a choice, because the Earth is going to split into two timelines.
Interesting.
And here's the thing. Think of it like if you look against the wall, you're going to see yourself and you're going to see the shadow. Now the
Hmm.
shadow will be the 3D, and the real you will be 5D.
Yeah.
God's viewpoint on it is that God doesn't care if you take 3D. If you take 3D, oh, Dennis, you took the long road home, but you're coming home. If you choose 5D, oh, you took the short road home, but you're coming home. That's it. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. But in 5D, there will be no killing of animals, plants, or people. You'll have power with your mind to create matter. So if you want a double burger, cheeseburger with McDonald's, you can create it just with your thought, with your mind, and no animal will be killed, and it'll be, of course, not poison. It will be totally fresh.
Wow.
So this is what we're headed towards, but this is a choice,
Yeah.
because when we're very close to that moment when we're going to make a split, and whatever vibration you're on, there's only two, low or high. Um, if you're on low vibrations, and I'll clarify it for the people who are watching what low vibrations is. Low vibrations is fear, hate, regret, stress, sadness, anger,
Exactly.
depression. These are all low vibrations.
Hmm.
Um, if the split happens when you're on that vibration, you will be caught on the 3D uh, timeline.
Hmm.
An evolution of 3D timeline is not such a nice place. I can just tell you that much. And then what is high vibrations? High vibrations is smiles, laughing, love, gratitude, nature, animals,
Yeah.
babies, creating of any kind. This is all high vibration. Forgiveness, this is all high vibration. And high vibration, if you're on a high vibration, then when the split happens, you'll go to 5D.
Wow.
Okay.
So.
And it's not like I go to sleep and I wake up and 5 million people have disappeared. It's just something that's happening gradually. They're rising in frequency. So it means the higher the frequency, the more closer to God. And the
Yeah.
more closer to God means more truth
Yeah.
and more love.
Exactly.
So the shadows cannot hide anymore. Before they could hide in 3D, but we're not even in 3D. We're like in 4D somewhere. And what I would suggest to the audience is that they make a list of 10 things that automatically make you happy. The first one I'm going to give you is nature. If you live near an ocean, a forest, a park, a tree, sit under the tree for 1 hour and your vibration will rise automatically. You don't have to do anything. The 9 other things will be things of your personal choice, like your favorite ice cream, a funny movie, a friend that makes you laugh, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a kitten, a child, drawing, writing, a good book, your favorite dessert, something that brings happiness. Now, your emotions are your thermometer to tell you whether you're going on high vibrations or low vibrations. So you don't have to say, well, I don't know what vibration I'm on. The real question would be, how do I feel? If I feel good, I know I'm on high vibrations. If I don't feel so good, then I know I'm on low vibrations. And then you should do one of the 10 things on your list. And this keeps you more often on high vibrations. But it's not about, I want to repeat this, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
Think about the 3-year-old little girl. She's going to run down the street and then she's going to fall. Blow! Then she's going to scream. She's going to feel that low vibration emotion. But a minute later, that same 3-year-old little girl is going to be laughing. Why? Because she felt that low vibration emotion. But then she let it go. Where adults, they hold on to it for days, weeks, years, decades. So it's not about being perfect. If you have to feel low vibration emotion, feel it, but then let it go. Because the problem is we hold on to it too long. And the other thing I got in my downloads is the law of attraction is real.
Yeah.
That means if you go on the other side, whatever you think is going to happen right away. And on this side, it's a little bit delayed, but just a little delay.
Yeah. It's
Okay. So this is what I tell your public is that you write your list. I have a list just like I'm telling you. My number 2 is Bugs Bunny. If I wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, what is Trump going to do? And I get afraid, that's my emotion say, Dennis, you're going on low vibrations. What are you going to do about it? Then I just go and I watch Bugs Bunny for 15 minutes. I'm laughing my head off and I'm back on high vibrations.
Yeah.
And the truth about the other side, and I'm sorry to say, and it's not to, I don't tell anybody, oh, don't be in a religion. I just say, be in a religion that has no fear and no separation, because those things are not of God. Reading session, healing session, or even book a retreat with me.
Yeah.
And they can also check out the videos of people who already was on the last year's retreat, so they can see how the people felt and what they experienced. Okay, a lot of love and peace.
Yeah.
Huh?
Bye.
Ciao.